Game 2 of the NBA Finals has taken place. I'm over here feeling like a damn genius. Warriors in 5, first thing. Second thing is, are we on the verge of a Boston Celtics Golden State Warriors mini series like we got with LeBron and the Cavs and the Heat with the, well, actually not the Heat with the Warriors, but LeBron and the Cavs with the Warriors? Are we in store for a mini series there, and who could interrupt that? Well, Florida didn't want you to say gay, but the Tampa Bay Rays are saying gay, baby, and it is causing a controversy with some of their players and the media. Our top 5 today, top 5 most underrated comedies of all time. Your boy Kyle Rittenhouse wants to go to college. I should say Ralph's boy Kyle Rittenhouse wants to go to college, and he announced his commitment, but it didn't go like you thought it was going to go. I'm George Wrighster. He's Ralph Amsden, and this is Wrighster or Wrong. So, Warriors win game 2, Ralph. I called this going to be a 5-game series from the jump. Even after Warriors lost game 1, I still said Warriors in 5. People told me I was crazy. I got people calling me like, bro, I'll take that bet after game 1. Won a bunch of money on game 2 from personal bets. Like, I didn't go to a bookie site. People called me to give me money. Like, yo, I'll give you all the money on game 2. Whatever you want, Playboy. I know what's happening here. So, Ralph, come on. Come on. I know you're a Suns fan and you hate to see the Warriors winning. Because in the year that your Suns, in the year of our Lord, that your Suns were supposed to win the championship. I told you it wasn't going to happen. And now the Warriors are back on top as I predicted.
Well, the first thing I want to clarify is I am not one of the people that gave you money because I never would have bet on the Celtics in game 2. They're so up and down from game to game. What surprised me was your prediction that after game 1, this was still going to be a 4-1 series win for Golden State, which I thought was absolute nonsense. But after game 2, I'm starting to wonder if you might be right, because that was, not only was it dominant, and they absolutely boat raced them in the third quarter. There was one point when it was 56-52 Warriors, which was a giant surprise given that Clay Thompson was 1 for 10 and Steph Curry wasn't shooting well. So when
Yeah.
you can't build a lead when Clay Thompson can't hit anything, that's an enormous problem. The refs seem to be happy to let Draymond Green uh, go out there and put pro wrestling moves on people and tug on
Oh,
Jalen
don't be
Brown's
that guy.
pants. And
Don't be that guy. Dude, he was doing it with Grant Williams, who is a $2 Draymond. Actually, no, he's not a $2 Draymond. He's a 50-cent Draymond. If Grant Williams could be Draymond Green, he would kill him and take over his body Men in Black style. Because he would love to be Draymond Green. Like a
can we
guy.
have an
No, go on.
can we have an honest conversation about the allowances that Draymond Green gets after that first technical hits, though?
Yes,
Once that
yes, we can
first
have an honest
technical,
conversation about it. I'd be at home like, Draymond, stop, please, please, and he'd be like, "What you gonna do?" And I think that that's the part why he gets so much leeway is that he just won't stop. Like he will not like it. There is no change in the behavior. So now the officials must modify how they do things. It's like the Boston Celtics are super physical, and they foul people a lot.
yeah.
So, but they're so physical that the officials are like, damn, we would foul them out in the first quarter. So they gotta let some of it go.
Legion of Boom style.
Yes,
Back when
exactly.
Seattle Seahawks DBs used to hold on every play, and it's like, well, we can't make it a 10-hour game. We got TV time here.
Exactly.
So, okay, but here's my issue because it seems like these Draymond texts are future texts. They're like the first time that you actually like let your kid have a beer, and then you can never say anything to them again because you gave them a beer. Right? Like these Draymond texts, the game should just start 1-0. We
Just give the other team a point and give them a
and
tech. No.
Yeah, and then you can just say like, we're not going to throw Draymond out for getting in our faces, for running his mouth the entire game. We're just going to give you 1 point, and we're going to go from here. If he kicks somebody in the junk, maybe that's a different story. But we're going to let him run his mouth. We're going to give you 1 point and let him run his mouth for 48 minutes.
See, the part about it that I didn't mind was okay, and I know that this is gonna offend some people, maybe or not. Okay, so some black people are just hella loud. And it scares some people. They're like, look at him, and it's like nobody's not mad. He's just animated. Like he's just animated and demonstrative. So
It's not
I
like
think that
he
he
goes.
talks to the refs with like a good amount of respect in general, right? But then the way he's flailing his hands around and we can't hear it, I think it makes it much more that it's much worse because then you will see him standing there talking to him and he'll be like, "Yo, I'm doing it," and then the referee will be like, "Oh, okay," and the referee's not feeling disrespected because they understand that he's not trying to attack you.
I'm with you. His energy is just sort of his energy, and so at this point in his career, I'm sure they get it. He does not talk at the refs more than Luca. He
No,
does not talk at the refs more than Tim Duncan, the
correct.
all-time
Whiner.
like we yeah we we think of Tim Duncan as like the big fundamental. He just went out there and did his job in the most boring way possible. That dude was
No,
on the refs from the jump. He never let up.
he got a technical sitting on the bench one time, and it wasn't just for no reason. Like, was it outrageous that he got a technical sitting on the bench? Yes, but Tim Duncan used to be on the refs relentlessly.
Yeah. These aren't like these aren't Rodman texts. They're not Rasheed Wallace texts,
Yeah,
right? These Draymond technicals are like, but I hate that they even give him the first one because it seems like it doesn't change his behavior at all. So there is no secondary consequence.
yes.
I'm not a Warriors. You paid me as a Warriors hater. I don't understand how you could hate the Warriors. The way they play basketball is so fun. It's frustrating as a Suns fan, but I
I
hate
love
them.
I love the way. Don't you love watching them play basketball though?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what do you think about the fact that people are upset that they believe that Draymond is officiated differently because they're like the nice guy. He says one word to the refs and he's like "F you, ref," and now they're like they throw him out of the game versus Draymond, who's on them relentlessly.
I think you made a point about energy consistency. I think you made the perfect point that if as long as that's who you are all the time, then the refs know what to prepare for. But if you do something outside of your character, and trust me, I'm not defending refs after the series where I saw a technical called on Devin Booker for his follow through on a jumper hitting somebody, or DeAndre Ayton getting a technical for dunking on Luca. Like I'm definitely not defending the inconsistency and weirdness of the refereeing, which I think has added to some of these stupid blowouts we've seen in the 2022 playoffs. I'm not defending them, but I do think you made a very good point just about the consistency of Draymond being on them from the get go.
Okay, so quick story. Um, when I moved into a house in out here in Cali, maybe this is like 2008, 2010, somewhere in there. I had terrible cell service at home. I mean, god awful. I called T-Mobile and I'm like, "Yo, my service sucks at home, blah blah blah." And they're like, "There's nothing that we can do for you, blah blah." So I call back again. And they say, "Oh, you can get a microcell." Right? Okay, cool. And but I had been told, oh, and in that first phone call, somebody said one of the people on the phone said, "Oh, are you sure you want this phone call recorded?" And I was like, no, I do not want this phone call recorded. So it was a clear sign to me that they wanted to tell me something, and they said you can get a microcell. I was like, what the hell is a microcell? They're like, it's basically a tower inside of your house which boosts your cell signal. So okay, cool. And they said they give them out for free. So you need to call back and ask for one. Okay, cool. So now fast forward the second callback. They're like, oh yes, you can buy a microcell from Best Buy, blah blah blah. They're like $180. I was like, don't you guys give them out for free? And they said, I mean, sometimes yes, when customers have been having problems. I was like, I'm telling you, I have a problem, and you've documented that where I live is a problem. So why aren't you sending me a microcell? Why are you telling me to go buy one? And the dude said, and I said, listen, I've been a customer. Actually, I was with AT&T, whoever I was with at the time. I was like, yo, I've been with this company for years upon years. I've never called in complaining. Why are you giving me a hard time? And they were like, see, that's actually not how it works. You actually need to call in and complain all the time, and then we will give you free stuff. And I was like, how ass backwards is this? That somebody who doesn't bother you, they finally are like, yo, I have a problem. And instead of saying, oh, okay, cool, we will go fix it. Instead of that being the answer is, no. You need to call in and complain more and bother us more. So we have to have more customer service people. And then we'll give it to you voluntarily. So then I said, okay. I called in 4 days in a row. And they were like, okay, we will send you a microcell for free. That's the definition of Draymond Green and the referees.
I think you just described America.
So are we on the verge of a Warriors Celtics mini series where these teams are going to play 3 out of the next 4 finals or 3 of the next 5 and all of that? And which team do you
Oh,
think is more likely to be back?
well, you got a pretty good contract situation right now. You have Jalen Brown locked up for 2 more seasons. Marcus Smart locked up for 3, 4 more. Jason Tatum's locked up. They are 24, 25, and 28 respectively. Robert Williams is locked up, and if he can stay healthy, you said you're a big fan of the way that he plays defense. It
Yeah.
seems like this franchise has some stability. They made a move that kind of reminds me of Pat Riley going to the front office, and Brad Stevens going to the front office. Ime Udoka seems to have this team's ear really well. They're going to at some point have to replace Al Horford. He's 36. That's just how it goes. Um, this team has a really solid core. I want to give another very whiny person, Danny Ainge, credit for building this roster and not making a change when the fans complained over and over and over again that they needed to make a change. To me, all it comes down to is this team gonna want, like, is this waking something up in them? Can they keep up this defensive intensity?
Yeah.
Because some teams that are really, really good on that side of the ball don't have the offensive consistency to make it back every year. But what they might benefit from is just the overall dysfunction in the Eastern Conference. For the first time in maybe my basketball conscious lifetime, there is more overall talent in the Eastern Conference than the Western Conference. And
Mm.
but it's
Okay.
super
Yeah.
dysfunctional. And because it's super dysfunctional, like, people are wondering if Joel Embiid wants to go to the Heat. The
Yeah.
Heat have the mercurial Jimmy Butler, but not a lot of star talent. The Nets have the issues that they have. The Sixers have the issues that they have. The only other team that I see being one piece away from doing the same thing that the Celtics are probably one piece away from is the Bucks.
Yep. See,
So it
I
it's very likely that that could be the case.
I look at the Eastern Conference as the only team that can stay away from that can knock the Celtics off. I mean, health withstanding, obviously, is the to knock that off and actually be replacing them is the Bucks. I don't love the Bucks coach, but Giannis is continuing to get better and better. He's the best player in the world, and if you put a good roster around him, Chris Middleton's healthy, like he can overcome Budenholzer's bad coaching, right? So, and there's a lot of middle in the East. There's a lot of middle. There's the only two top teams, the Bucks and the Celtics. because
Yeah.
the Miami Heat don't have enough high end scoring. Like they're going to run out of talent at some point in time on the offensive end. Shot making ability, like they're going to run out of it, which they did against the Boston Celtics. The Philadelphia 76ers cannot win because James Harden's on that roster. You have the Toronto Raptors, no superstar, good team, but you can't win without a superstar. Um,
Right.
the Chicago Bulls, same exact situation. Cute story,
And they're
nice, competitive, but
and they're probably about to lose one of their two best players.
yes, Zach Levine.
Yeah.
The what's the name of the people? Oh, the Brooklyn Nets, bro. What are we supposed to make out of that right now? Because obviously Kevin Durant's important. Kyrie, is he going to be there? Is he not? And then even if you do, number one, you still have Steve Nash as a head coach, and he was an absolute liability this year in the playoffs. And then the second thing is where's your defense? I mean, is Ben Simmons ever going to play? I mean, there's too many. So that's what I'm saying. In the Eastern Conference, there's so much middle. Now, I
Yeah.
trust the Warriors to make it back to the finals next year more than I trust the Celtics because of the Bucks. And if they're healthy, I think the Bucks would
Yeah.
have beat them this year. And in the West, you have Memphis, who's going to be better. But if Golden State is healthy and clicking, as good as Memphis is, it'll be a long series, but they won't be able to beat them. The Phoenix Suns, I don't believe it. I do not believe it until they actually do it. It's a cute story. It's nice. They got to the finals in a year where everybody in the conference was hurt, so they missed their opportunity. The Dallas Mavericks don't have enough firepower. Luca ain't enough, and will he come in good enough shape to be dope in the playoffs? Doper in the as you get deeper in the playoffs? I don't know. Utah Jazz breaking up. Denver Nuggets, just like the Phoenix Suns, except worse. I don't trust them to do anything until they do it. I trust Jokic to potentially win another MVP next year because people fall in love with the stats and there's
Yeah.
no playoff production. The Lakers, who knows? I mean, that's the ultimate roulette wheel. They could be the best team in the NBA next year, or they could miss the playoffs again. And the Clippers, who's going to be in uniform?
Yeah. I feel you. There's definitely and the NBA offseason is always full of change. We got John Hollinger dropping rumors that DeAndre Ayton wants out of Phoenix. Quinn Snyder quit yesterday, which now we have for some reason every time Donovan Mitchell has a mood of any kind, it gets reported in the media and he never
Unnerved.
responds to it.
He was
Yeah,
unnerved. You're like, I
right.
need to
So you might
look.
see some major star movement all over the NBA, which makes the stability of a team like the Celtics kind of sexy. There's two players on the Celtics roster right now over the age of 28. Al Horford and Daniel Theis, so they're centers, and age with centers is sometimes a good thing. They have zero free agents on this team, George.
Zero?
Zero. Everybody's coming back. Like they're as stable
How
as
are
it
they
gets.
with the salary cap? Because the Warriors don't give a damn about the salary cap. They're like, listen, we've made $100 million just from the playoffs alone. So we will pay this luxury tax money. We're in the black. Like we're deep in the black. Like there's no point in us caring about this luxury tax when we're gonna make it back anyway.
Right. Well, I think that the luxury tax threshold is 149 and they're at 156. So they're already paying um 7 million on the luxury tax.
Yeah, but that's nothing
Between 7 and 10
when
million. Yeah.
when you're a big franchise and you go to the finals. Yeah,
So yeah, you might be right. We might be seeing we might and the thing about the Warriors is there hasn't been a year when both Clay and Steph are healthy that they haven't been in the finals.
correct.
So you
So
just kind of have to pencil them in the Western Conference for the time being.
facts. All right, the Tampa Bay Rays say gay. They are just like the Dodgers, the Giants, who are doing something for a Pride Month. The Dodgers and the Giants, they did the logo on the hats this year, the rainbow logo. The Rays decided to put a patch on the side of the jersey. Well, there were what, 5 or 6 players that didn't want the patch on their jersey. They said for religious reasons, and they don't want to promote the lifestyle. Um, so
Right. So they had 5 players opt out, and then they elected a spokesman to explain why. And the Rays made it optional.
I actually
So
like that part of it. I now
I hate it. I
you think
hate
that
it.
they should force you to wear? Well, actually, they don't give you options on anything else
Right. I feel like these guys
as
got
far as your
set
uniform.
up.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, you are you are right because if you give them a choice, you have then opened them up to criticism
Yeah.
and you have shielded yourself, but now you have brought up an opportunity for derision within your organization and all of that. Yeah, so it could, yeah, you could actually cause yourself more problems and your players more problems by doing that, by making it
Yeah.
optional.
Right, because you have corporate sponsorships on athletic jerseys all over the place, and if somebody has a personal issue with how that corporation is run, maybe they can speak out on it. Not all of life is Ted Lasso, but maybe you can speak out on it or whatever. But if you give somebody an option, and the Tampa Bay players, Jason Adam, Jalen Beeks, Brooks Raley, Jeffrey Springs, and Ryan Thompson, who all elected Jason Adam to speak on their behalf, say that, yeah, we don't want to do this. So I feel like the organization says, we're going to do this patch, we're going to make it optional. And if you say no, we probably assume there's going to be some questions. So pick somebody to speak on it. And I feel like it puts those players in a position to be thrown under the bus. And I'll read what they had to say through Jason Adam, and you tell me what you think about it. He said a lot of it comes down to faith, to like a faith-based decision. So it's a hard decision because ultimately we all said what we want is them, meaning anybody who identifies or is homosexual, or basically pride encompasses everything. So when he says them, he's talking about anybody that would be paying attention to Rays baseball for the sake of their pride event or pride celebration or pride uniform. He said, ultimately, what we all said is we want them to know that all are welcome and loved here. But when we put it on our bodies, I think a lot of guys decided that it's just a lifestyle that maybe, not that they look down on anybody or think differently, it's just that maybe we don't want to encourage it if we believe in Jesus, who's encouraged us to live a lifestyle that would abstain from that behavior, just like Jesus encourages me as a heterosexual male to abstain from sex outside of the confines of marriage.
Mm.
It's no different. It's not judgmental. It's not looking down. It's just that we believe the lifestyle he's encouraged us to live for our good, not to withhold. But again, we love these men and women. We care about them, and we want them to feel safe and welcome here. And the backlash to that statement was, as you can imagine, rather large.
Oh yeah,
Um,
oh yeah. See, okay. Now on one hand, I love the fact that they were able to speak out and to have choices, right?
yeah,
Because a lot of times what people struggle with is that on one side of an equation that we're supposed to respect everybody's feelings and beliefs and all of this, but then other people feel like that their beliefs and things are being trampled upon and they can't speak out, right? So I like that part of it. And their statement, I have no problem with their statement. My only issue is like, okay, just make sure you keep that same energy. You know what I mean? Like that for that if you that if when you if this is how you are about everything, I'm good with it. If you're like, listen, I don't like Adidas. I don't like Nike. I don't like this and this. And when I put it on my body, that because like I feel like I'm representing that company. So just so that's my whole thing is just keep the same energy about whatever it is. And I don't have anything to say to you. It's
I
the
would
it's the
say,
switching of energies.
yeah,
Like
hypocrisy, right?
yeah, to where if you're like, listen, I don't hang out like I won't hang out with gay folks, but I'll hang out with dudes that cheat on their wife. I won't hang out with gay folks, but I know people that are uh that are thieves and criminals, but I'll hang out with them though. I'm just like if God and your religious beliefs are your answer to why you don't want to do certain things, I'm just saying just keep the same energy. And then nobody can say anything to you, right? If that's what you're going to use as the reason why.
I guess it opens up such a can of worms, George. And I will say, I hate that the players were put in this position.
I do
I
too.
I absolutely hate that. But I also I do have a couple of issues with the statement, because it says we want everybody here to feel loved and welcomed. Um, but we're not going to put that on our bodies because we disagree with your lifestyle, right? Well, you're gonna open yourself to up to what the connotation, the personal definition of loved and welcomed is, right? Like people aren't going to feel loved and welcomed if you say that, like, I feel like putting a rainbow patch on my uniform is me saying that I agree with what you are doing, which I do not. I want you here. I want you in the stands, but I also want you to know that I think that you should be abstinent for the rest of your life. And I also have, there's a couple of things that when let's say the word lifestyle. When you use the word lifestyle, you open yourself up to this age old debate of, like,
Are
did
you born
people
gay
just
or
decide?
are you choosing to be gay?
Right. So then you open yourself up to this entire discussion of, like, what do you mean my lifestyle? Like, I do you think that I can control which gender I'm attracted to? Do you think that I chose this? And so then you open yourself up to that conversation. There is a large subset of people who have decided that the progress that was happening over time through identification, cooperation, existence in society, that pace was not good enough, right? And so that if you say that because of my faith I disagree with putting that on my body, you have a large subset of influential people who will call you a hate monger and homophobic. And I'm going to be honest, George, some of the most hateful rhetoric that I've seen in my life has been in the comment section of every single NFL,
Correct.
MLB,
Yep.
NHL team's Pride Month celebrations, because the whole thing's so ugly, and and at its heart, and I know you agree with me here, at its heart, it's it might be insincere, and it might just be about capitalization. And that's the thing that kills
Bingo.
me the most. You don't
is
want to
is
be the
like
team
it's
that's left
hard
out
to
of Pride
figure out
Month.
which one it is, right? Because is it the fact that you know that you have employees who are part of the LGBTQ community and you want to celebrate them in their life and all of this stuff the way they feel included and not treated differently at work and the ballpark and all this place, right? Or you may have players that are you want to make sure that you are creating a healthy work environment that's literally about sports, you know what I mean, that's about sports and not about what people's lifestyle is. So it's that, or are you saying, okay, if we don't do this, then we are going to be slammed, and it's an opportunity to make some new money, bro. We can sell some new jerseys, sell some new hats at like the Juneteenth ice cream at the Great Value Juneteenth ice cream.
Right. Uh, So the Rays had a baseball is for everyone shirt with the word everyone in all rainbow, and they put out a tweet of people wearing that shirt. I don't know if it was a shirt that they gave away at the game, but you can now find it for sale on like every single website that copies MLB shirts, and I don't know if it's something that the Rays were selling at the game, but it's one of those things where you can't blame me for raising an eyebrow of the same organization, just like all MLB organizations, by the way, that has family and faith night that brings in Christian bands to play concerts after the game, is the one that's also having a pride night, knowing that many of the major faiths have interpretations of their scripture
Yep.
that are antithetical to this thing that you're celebrating in the month of June, so that you're not left out of everybody doing it. And I wonder pretty aggressively how much of this is sincere, because I want to make people feel as loved and welcomed and human as possible. But when I was scrolling through Twitter this morning, George, and Fifth Third Bank, which is a bank out here
Yeah,
in
which
Charlotte.
I've always thought was the weirdest name for a bank. Fifth Third Bank. You're like, what?
Right. So Fifth Third Bank is paying for sponsored tweets to show up in my feed of their logo converted to Pride Rainbow, saying that everybody should be able to bank and be proud of their bank, or whatever. But why are you paying me to see that? Why are you paying me to see it? Like, why is your virtue signal got money behind it?
Well,
Do
what
you actually care?
so do you think that they would have advertised that same advertisement on a normal on like a regular month in July, April, May, and they just so happen to do it this month as well?
I think what it comes down to is everybody wants to be virtuous, especially when not being seen as virtuous would make you an outlier. So if we're going to be visible as being virtuous, then let's be the most visible.
Yeah.
And I want to believe that companies are finally coming out here and saying that, like, we are going to treat our employees as more important than the capital that we set out to make by hiring those employees. But that's just not the way the world works.
No.
And so the really confusing part is everybody's out here saying get woke, go broke. But if that was the truth, would every company in America be trying to go
It's
after
a
these?
lie. It's a grift. I've pointed out every single instance. Oh, the NFL ratings are going to tank. No, they do. You understand what tanking ratings look like for the NFL? Talking about like 15 plus million people per game, the most uh 48 of the 50 most watched things of the year. If that's tanking, then okay. Nike stock is gonna
Right.
tank because of Colin Kaepernick. What? Where, fam? Like
And
they say this stuff and it never, ever, ever happens.
right. And the people that make money off of the get woke, go broke mantra need the most ironic thing about it is they need more wokeness to fuel the narrative by which they advertise against and sell against. So just today, George, just today it came out that the Carolina Panthers have hired a transgender cheerleader. I was more surprised at the age than I was at the fact that they hired
I
a
know.
transgender
I was
cheerleader.
like, you got an old ass cheerleader,
Yeah,
like
because a
35.
lot of these 29, but a
Yeah,
lot of these teams
still.
be forcing people out at 23 years old,
Yes.
saying like, "Hey, you've reached."
Except the Jaguars, because um, Mrs. Weaver, she used to she was not with the young cheerleaders. Like she wanted them in skirts down to the knees, and you know we we had cheerleaders that had kids in like middle school.
But see, I feel better about that than the idea that, like, sure, when I had season tickets to Arizona Cardinals in my early 20s, the people my age were like, oh wow, like they're out here, they're not cheerleading, they're doing something. But now that I'm twice the age as when I had season tickets, I'm like, well, they stayed the same. This Dazed and Confused, they stayed the same age, or was that Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Either one, but like, It's a little weirder now, but like, so the Carolina Panthers, they hire a transgender cheerleader, and who's reporting on it? Daily Wire, Outkick, all the conservative sites, Fox News, as fast as they can to get that article up so that the people that stay angry, that use